And there we go. I believe that has got it. How do we do? Oh, looks like there's plenty of people in the chat already. Hi, folks. Nice to see you. Thanks for turning up. It says on my clock here it's 6 on the dot. I thought I was maybe, and I can see a few messages in the chat there thinking I'm a tiny bit late. Yes, just got an unexpected phone call there at the last moment that delayed me ever so slightly. How we doing, folks? Where are we all tuning in from this evening? Right, let's see now. What do we got? What do we got to go through this evening? It has been a minute since I did a little live stream, hasn't it? Longer than I thought it had been. I was just thinking, how long has it been since I did a stream? What, a month or two? And I checked, and it's been like 5 or 6 months. And I realized, yeah, I've just been kind of busy the last couple of months. Just haven't had time to squeeze a live stream in. Yeah, as I recall, the last time I did a live stream, I told you all that soon after I was going to be a guest at TF UK Con. I did that that was in May. Yeah, that was in May. That was a lovely time. Oh, I'm actually just realised I'm wearing my my T-shirt from TF UK Con, the souvenir shirt that they made for that. Yeah, that was a lovely experience. I don't know if anybody in the chat was there. Shout out if you were at TF UK Con. But I was very flattered to be invited to be a guest. I was a little nervous going because I didn't really know anybody that was there, but I wound up having a very nice time. Then what happened after that? That was in May. Then in June, I got. Let me just get this out here. In June, again, I was invited to attend the Irish premiere of Rise of the Beasts. That's my little invitation there that I got. Again, very flattering, very unexpected. I was invited less than a week before the cinema screening, and I was off right away to that. In fact, I've just seen, who's that? Blaster Tronus in the chat there asked if did Rise of the Beasts personally flop for you? No, it didn't. I wound up really enjoying the film, although I did say when I got invited to the premiere that it did mean I was never going to be able to have a normal opinion about the film because that was just such an incredible thing, a real first time. Didn't expect it, really blindsided me. Just thought it was really incredible to get invited, and but generally speaking, no, I enjoyed the film a lot. I thought it did well. By the Maximals. A lot of people don't agree, but I thought it did well by the Maximals. It was sort of like a mashup of the base concepts of the '86 movie and Beast Wars by a director who knew what that meant and who thought of the robots as characters first instead of cars first. That doesn't seem to have been tremendously successful, unfortunately. So I don't know. That was the other part of Blaster Tronus' question, is what it means for the future of the movies, and I don't really know. Like that little tease about oh, sorry, someone in the chat there said no spoilers, so I won't. Nearly did, but I won't. That little last credits teaser that they put on the end of the film. That was the one thing that I'd accidentally had spoiled for me before going in to see it, and I think they've come out and said since then that they haven't even actually conceptualized what the next film would be, how they would follow up on that. So I wouldn't be like terribly surprised if it just sort of didn't happen, you know. I feel like they maybe need to step back and just sort of reassess how they want to keep making films in that universe. Of course, we've got the animated one. We've got Transformers 1 next month. There's somebody in the chat asking what I think about Chris Hemsworth being the voice in that, and I mean, it sounds fine. I don't know. I mean, I have the basic opinion of it's always disappointing whenever celebrities are hired to do voice roles in animation rather than pre-existing voice actors. But oh, sirens! They're coming to get me. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. I mean, he might be all right. I like Hemsworth, generally speaking. You know, and there's some other casting in that. Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron. That sounds that sounds like it could be good. And is it Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee? That could be fun too. You know, he did. I quite enjoyed him in the Mario film. He seems like he's got the chops for it. You do wonder, as Jacob has asked in the chat there, if Pax will have the Australian accent, but I doubt it. I reckon it'll be Hemsworth doing his. Will he be doing his American accent, or will he be doing like his Thor-y voice? Because you could imagine either of those working for Orion Pax, really. You know. So that was in June. Then in July, again rather unexpectedly, I got invited to be a guest speaker, if you will, down in Dublin. That's down in the Republic of Ireland. I'm up here in Northern Ireland for those of you attending from outside the country and don't know that. I did a Big Bang Comics down in Dublin, did a Transformers fan day, did a cinema screening of the 86 movie, and they invited me to come down, be a guest, and do a presentation about the film. So I did a panel, a presentation about the making of the film, the development of the movie, talked about the original first draft of the film. Oh, speaking of the first, I mean, I've talked about it several times in past live streams, and you guys have probably heard about it at some point. But last year, the first draft of Transformers the movie was revealed to the world. Jim Sorensen and I did a presentation about it at TF Nation, the UK Transformers convention, and that was it being revealed to the world. So I did a presentation at this Big Bang Comics cinema screening day, talking about that and the further development of that. And I really need to do a YouTube video about that. I'm sure you guys agree. It's been a year, and I've always sort of meant to, but I need to get around to it and pull a video together about the development of the movie. Now, hang on, where is? Oh, no, I thought I had a little image here lined up, but I don't. What it reminded me to say is that you may have seen, or you may not have seen, but the script for the first draft of the movie has now officially been released online. It is now the 200 plus page PDF, the entire first version of the film, written by Ron Friedman, is now up online for you to read. I have put the link in the description. That'll take you to the Sunbow Marvel archive, which is a website dedicated to gathering together and making available scripts and storyboards and other paperwork from Sunbow and Marvel Productions cartoons, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Visionary, Inhumanoids, all the other stuff that those guys did. And finally, we have the permission has been granted for that full script to be put up on the Sunbow Marvel archive for you to download and read in full. So, link in the description. I'm not sure if you can. I don't know. Can you access the? Well, anyway, you don't want to go off and read the script now, but once the stream is finished and it's up there, the link is in the description. It will be in the description if it's not there already. Oh, there's Simon Lech in the comments. That Simon runs the Marvel Sunbow archive, as he says, a near 3-year journey. To get that script up online. It has come to an end. It is now there for everybody to read. It is it's a long one, it's a crazy one, and I really must do a video about it. I know there are a couple of videos up about it on YouTube already, but most of them seem to be third-hand, really, I guess you would say, third-hand summaries of it based on my Twitter summary of it. And that's not a really great way to experience the information, I wouldn't say. So read the script. I mean, I think the best way is, if you want to get the full uncut, untainted view, read the script yourself. But I really, really must get around to doing a video about that. No, what in the comments. I'm not operating out of my grandmother's attic. I'm operating out of my own attic. That's where my office is. Okay. I did that was in July. So I went to that big band. Thanks very much. If there's anybody out there, if there's anybody in the chat who was there, or anybody or anybody from Big Bang is listening in, thanks again to them very much for inviting me down. It's been a funny year for me. Yeah, I've been invited places, got to do things. It's been a surprising and very flattering evolution of the YouTube career this year so far. I've had something on every month since May, and I'm very thankful for it. I'm thankful to all you guys for constantly tuning in and watching the videos and helping me get to this point. You know. Sorry, there's Gav Spence of Toy Reviews Done Quick in the comments, just having a go at me. And he's right to, folks. He's absolutely right to. That was in July, but then in August, of course, it was TF Nation. It's been a full month since TF Nation, but I thought I would use this stream to do a sort of TF Nation, post-TF Nation wrap-up as well. Show you some of the stuff that I got, which is littered around me here. Again, TF Nation, I'm so happy it's back after a few years away with the pandemic and everything. And it's a very different experience for me now than it used to be after so many years doing YouTube. I am approached by a lot of people at TF Nation who always have very nice and very flattering things to say. I mean, if any of you guys watched Thew's recent video where he did a little TF Nation wrap up on a collection tour, he was talking about the same thing. You know, there's a lot of people come up to us, and a lot of people speak to us, and it's a big part of the experience, and it can be quite overwhelming. But I do not take it for granted. You know, I'm very flattered to always have people come up to me and say very nice things, and as long as anybody is happy to speak to me, I'll always try and make time for them. You know. Excuse me. It is warm. It's warm this evening, folks. I don't know if anybody who all else may be messaging in from the UK, but you know how warm it has been this last couple of days. Whew. Just before we do the TF Nation thing, though, something that's become a bit of a standard feature of these streams is that I will give you little teases about what's coming up on the channel. Well, not teases. I mean, I'm just going to tell you what's coming up for the next little while, because I've just seen someone in the chat ask, what are you doing the basics on next? That's Murphy Beale. Murphy Beale just asked that in the chat there. Who are you doing the basics on next? And I can tell you, as soon as I find the button, there it is, that going up for Patreon sponsors, the early access at the start of the week, next weekend we'll be looking at The Nemesis. People have been asking for this one since I did the Arc 2 years ago, and I think I put it off just nicely, just in time for the new Titan class Legacy toy to be released. I thought it was time to finally give the Nemesis a look over. An interesting one, not a standard shaped episode, because the Nemesis it doesn't have a big story role in a lot of stuff. So it's an interesting concept to chart the evolution of, more than just simply spell out and explain the different roles it's had in media, you know. So yeah, that's going to be next Saturday. Look for that at the usual time, 10 a.m. British time next Saturday, with the early access going up on Patreon at the start of the week, The Nemesis. We've got a legacy theme to the next couple of episodes, looking at a couple of characters who have received toys in in the Legacy line this year, and we'll touch on a few more of them as we go through the stream. I'm not going to drop them all on you right now. There's questions. Will you be including info on the Victory and the Nemesis video? Just hey, wait and see. Well, if I give it all away now, you know, I'm not gonna tell you what all's gonna be in the video right now. Oh, there's a nice one from what's that? Matafer just wanted to pop in and say hello. Your lore videos help so much. Thank you. Especially when making cards for the TFTCG. That's right. There are people who are making their own original cards for the trading card game now, aren't there? Well, I'm glad that I can. I'm glad that I can help in the creation of fan works in that way. You know, that's always what I've striven to do with the channel, is to provide a sort of archive of information. That's why the channel's never been a news channel or something that's tried to be very up to the minute. I think of more of what I do as being creating an archive that people can go back and reference, and I'm glad it can serve that purpose for fan works and for you know, even for official works in the few cases where I've heard that people who've worked on official things have also consulted my videos. Oh, there's a message from Tarn Nation. Thanks for signing my copy of Thunderclash's comic. Yes, that's the Thunderclash Goes Bananas, isn't it? Zine, which I don't have to hand. And there's one from Shatlan Entertainment. Blessings and peace, and to you. I hope you tune in to my upcoming Transformers DC coming soon. Oh, is that a crossover fan work? Well, there was that almost made Transformers DC crossover comic way back in the day, wasn't there? Well, good luck with that. I'm skimming through the chat, so if there's any questions here. RoboPlays says, I noticed after you do certain basics, new toys get revealed or teased. It's almost like a very certain company is watching your videos. Yeah, if only. No, it can't be that, because they're always released too soon after. It's been kind of bad this year. It's been like whenever Dion, I felt that there was maybe a new Dion toy in the air when I did the Dion video, so I ended the video by saying maybe he'll get a new toy, and it turned out to be not either of the two you might have expected. But I felt okay with that. Didn't see Nova Prime getting a toy, mind you. Whenever I did the Nova Prime video this year. There he is. Didn't get this guy at TF Nation. He arrived shortly beforehand. He was shipping out in the UK a little earlier than he was in the US, so I've had him for a month or two now at this point, where I think he's only just now arriving in the US. But yeah, this was one I haven't picked up a lot from that pre-war capsule. I got him and I got the Javelin and Cascade 2-pack, but I really wanted a Nova because I never bothered with the Galaxy Force Optimus Siege figure, so because I have the original Cybertron figure and I didn't need it any because it wasn't an upgrade to that figure, like the other figure's better, but make it a character that I don't own and it hasn't had a proper toy, and hey, here, I'll show up, absolutely. I really like this figure actually a lot more than I even expected to. He is kind of shortlist for one of my faves of the year right now, to be honest. Nova Prime, yeah, he cuts a nice silhouette. I'm gonna set him over here. He can watch me while I'm streaming. Ooh. There's a message from Nathan Merrifield. With Obscure Characters Month creeping up, what's the likelihood you'll do Circuit as one of those characters? Asked this at your last stream and curious if it's stuck around as an idea. Well, I will say, Nathan says, love your work. Thank you, Nathan. I will say he's not going to be one of this year's Obscure Characters Month. I think I have the roster for Obscure Character, which is December, folks. Remember, Obscure Characters Month is December now after last year. We're going to keep on like that. I think I have the roster mostly locked in, with a view looking kind of towards the Legacy toy line and towards a certain big screen adventure that happened this year. But I was just walking down the street yesterday, and a thought popped into my head about something that's also come out this year, and I thought, oh, that would be a good one. And now I'm thinking about maybe bumping one of the characters I'd already picked and putting this new idea in yet. So I mean, it is. What's this? September, October, November. It's still 3 months away, so I got a little time to change my mind, about exactly what to cover in Obscure Characters Month. But most of them. Let's see what else we got here. The Animation Station asks, are there any characters or concepts you're particularly looking forward to making Basics episodes on? I think most of the ones that I was really hepped up to do videos about, I have done now at this point. I suppose there's a couple of Beast Wars guys left. I always enjoy making Beast Wars guy videos, so there's a couple of them left that I'd definitely be excited about. Still haven't done a cup. Do want to do a cup. I am looking forward to revisiting some of the oldest videos and upgrading and improving them. There should be at least one of those before the end of the year. I know I've said it probably like every stream since last year that, oh no, there'll definitely be update episodes coming in X number of months, and it still hasn't happened yet. I haven't done any update episodes since Bumblebee and Shockwave last June, so it's been over a year since I did an update episode, but I do want to do them, and I just haven't yet. But I do plan to get one done before the end of the year. I do, genuinely, yes. So I mean, with the Soundwave was high on my list, and I was waiting to see how the first season of Earthspark shook out before updating his video. Now that has happened, and didn't really matter in the end. Something happened with that Soundwave subplot. It didn't. I'm pretty confident it didn't pan out the way it was originally planned. But yeah, so Soundwave, probably Soundwave before the end of the year. Then at some point, yeah. There's one there. Oh yeah, Captain Kuhn says the basics. Captain Kun. Basics on the Star Seekers to tie in with the rumored capsule for next year. Yeah, but that'll be next year. That one is sort of like on my mental short list since that, because I do have to kind of pay attention to those leak lists now more than I used to, because if I know now that we have such, it's a bit sad. I think I don't like knowing all that stuff so far in advance from a pure toy buying, pure excitement capacity, but from in a work capacity and knowing when to make videos, it is helpful, I suppose. But yeah, whenever we now have basically a near complete picture of the entirety of next year's toy line, it does tell me to wait on certain videos. Like, I know people have been asking for a Chromia video for a long time, and she does feel a little overdue at this point, but they say there's a Chromia coming in next year's Legacy line, so gotta hold off till that one, otherwise we're instantly outdated. It's like, sure, instantly outdated videos do happen, as Nova and Dion will show, but if I can avoid them, I will. Sometimes I don't know and I can't know, but if I do know, I will try and avoid doing them. TF1 really wants to know if I'm going to do the basics on Sunstreaker. I would say not this year, but sure, eventually, yes. So yeah, Starseekers. I think I definitely will do a video once we have a clearer picture of what is going to be in that capsule. Yes. You gotta assume a Thundertron. Oh no, we know a few of the names, don't we? There's a Thundertron. There's a... Okay, we definitely do, but obviously I've forgotten what they were. we definitely have heard some names, but I have forgotten what they were. Soundblaster87 asks, would an updated Ultra Magnus video be possible, or can I not deal with that now? Magnus was, I think Magnus was my first video after the initial half dozen. You know, I did the 4 the big four that I'd planned out for my first month. Then I think I did IDW, then Bumblebee, then I think Magnus was the next one I did after that. So he is, yes, he could definitely be updated. And obviously, but they've just announced that Commander toy now, so I'm glad I wouldn't have done it before then. Though there hasn't been a lot with Magnus since the original video. There's really just been Siege, hasn't there? But that's an older video, and it's very much a different format. You know, things, it would be a ground up rewrite, you know, same as with Soundwave. It would definitely be take it all back and write the script up from the start again. You know, it's like I get comments, I've seen a little bit more of them lately. Update Optimus Prime for 2023. And I mean, I was a little surprised to realize that, yeah, it has been 3 years since the Optimus Prime video, but there's nothing really to add. Earthspark has happened, but it didn't really do anything like new with the character. My summary of the character's history is only missing a mention of the newest a one-sentence mention of the newest cartoon at the end, and I'm pretty happy with that video. Like that as far as I'm concerned, that's a really good video. That one came out very well. Took a real out of universe look at the character and his legacy and what he means, and it wouldn't be very different. I wouldn't ground up rewrite that one. It would just be the same video with an extra sentence or two stuck on the end. It's kind of the same with Megatron, you know, even though Earthspark has happened and they did do something that you wouldn't have expected a cartoon to do with Megatron in Earthspark. It still really is only an extra sentence or two at the end to tie it back in together. You know, more time is going to have passed before I feel like I'm going to be able to go back and touch those two big guys again. I'm sorry I can't read your screen name, but you have asked, am I going to do a video about the Brave series? That's a question I get asked every now and again, and I always say that I do consider the Brave series within the scope of the basics. But I couldn't do it because I've never watched any Brave. I would have to watch it myself. You know, that if you've tuned into a live stream and heard me answering questions before, you know that's what I always say is I always go back to the original work when I try to make a video. I don't want to rely on other people's summaries of the episodes or the issues or whatever. With toys, you know, what can you do? It's toys. I can't go back and experience the toys without spending thousands of pounds. But when it's talking about a series, an anime, I would and there are a lot of Brave series, and that's a big old time sink. So I don't think I couldn't do it. If at some point in my life I ever do wind up watching all the Brave series shows, I could make it, but not yet. I couldn't. There's one from 6 Foot Fetus. Yow, my nickname at school. Favorite incarnation of the Transformers universe? I tend to come down... I don't know that I truly have one. Instinctually, I tend to go for Beast Wars. It tends to be the first thing that comes to mind. But I find it easier to tell you sort of like the broad strokes of the bits of Transformers that I like. G1, of course. Beast Wars, Animated, Prime, Rescue Bots... Earthspark is the best thing in a while, in my opinion. But it's very difficult for me to pick a very specific one. Oh, there's another one in from Mecca. Hey, what's up? It's me again. I don't know if you remember me. I asked how much you cover the Bayverse. Is there enough content to make a video on Scrounge? Scrounge, I think, would have to be an obscure characters month kind of video, but I think I could squeeze one out of Scrounge, yeah. Wouldn't be a long one, but you could get an obscure characters video out of Scrounge. It's wild to me there's never been another big Scrounge story, you know. Felt like something IDW could have done. Oh, there's a mention of IDW. Yeah, like Flutterflyer in the chat there's asking, would Skywarp be needing an updated video with IDW2 and Earthspark? Yeah, and Cyberverse as well. Yes, so Skywarp is definitely a video who could stand an update, yeah. Zachary Delia, you mentioned possible companion subjects to companion subjects to Optimus Prime at the end of his video, Roller, Orion Pax. Am I still thinking about those? Constantly. I don't know why. Those are never far from my brain, but I'm not sure why I've not done... Well, no, I haven't done Orion Pax yet, because there's going to be a film released in a year's time that would outdate that video pretty quickly. So as far as doing Orion Pax, kind of holding off till we see what Transformers 1 does. Though, it's not that I have low expectations for Transformers 1 or anything, but I think that the hardcore Transformers fans pretty much know what to expect from that film. I don't think that film will deviate tremendously from the lore as it's currently understood. You know, the aligned backstory that's kind of been like the Peter Parker bitten by the spider, the Bruce Wayne's parents shot in an alley origin story for Transformers for the last decade and a bit. Optimus Prime and Megatron used to be friends, but they disagreed about how best to bring equality to a socially corrupt planet and fell out over it. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be... Now, how they tell the story will be... That will be the fun part, seeing how they tell the story. Excuse me, but I don't expect anything hugely new being added to the lore by that story. I don't think, but we will see. RoboPlays also says, I feel honoured because after the stream before last, when I asked about Nova Prime a month later, I saw the vid and was blown out of my mind. I really thank you for that. I would have to say I probably had that video on the schedule. Anyway, I honestly can't remember. Maybe I was inspired to add it then and there. Maybe I'd thought it up already, but I'm glad you enjoyed it one way or the other. Speaking of Roller and companion pieces to Optimus Prime, yes, let's talk about some of the stuff I picked up at TF Nation. Well, I didn't pick up very much, but the big one, let me just go down and get him. Ooh. It's Grand Galvatron from Unite Warriors. I always kind of wanted this guy, never enough to actually order him when he was new. But as soon as, when Thew, again, comes back to Thew when he was doing the stock walkthrough with Toy Fu, and obviously the collector that they had acquired so much of their stock from this year was mad for combiners. But when I saw they had a Grand Galvatron, it hadn't been on my mental checklist for TF Nation. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I'd quite like that. And I thought, yeah, but it's gonna be prohibitively expensive, isn't it? That's gonna be multiple hundreds of pounds. I can't justify that. And anyway, I sauntered into the dealer room on Saturday morning, and the end of Toy Fu's table was basically right across from the entrance. And who was staring back at me but Grand Galvatron in his box? And I thought, well, I'll go and take a little look. I flipped the price tag over, and the noise I made was, oh, that's so reasonable. He was not multiple hundreds of pounds. To put it like that. So yeah, I had him, and he was my big, to be honest, right, I'll just set him down here 1 second and I'll return to him in a moment. It was him. And it was Shadow Striker from Legacy. Those were the only two purchases I made at TF Nation. I haven't really come away from TF Nation with big armfuls of toys in a couple of years now. Because with all the Legacy stuff, I just generally buy it when it's new through pre-orders. And then pick up things that sort of catch my eye at TF Nation. And yeah, Grand Galvatron. Shadow Striker was the other one. I wish I loved her more than I did, Shadow Striker. She is... I don't have any problem, like some people do, and I'm sure people are already kicking off in the credits about it, in the comments about it. I have no problem with her being a sideburn pre-tool. I tend to like that that mashing up of different incarnations. Obviously, the original Shadow Striker from BotCon was a Sideburn retool, recolor. Check out the basics on Shadow Striker if you hadn't, for the whole story on that. So I don't mind that. There's just something doesn't quite come together. I feel like her proportions are a little bit dumpy. And she's got stress marks on her thigh armor here from where when you're transforming her, it always feels like you're trying to push things somewhere that they don't quite go. But as a figure, she is nice. Like, she's got a real solidity to her, and she's got good hand feel, if you know what I mean. Which is a stupid nonsense made up term, and yet I'll use it, you know. I wish I loved her more than I did, but I do still quite like her. Yeah. She's grown on me a lot even since I first got her. But then I'm also happy to just see Cyberverse getting some representation in Legacy. Message there from Boris Fraser asking, Boris Fraser, asking, have I read Void Rivals with all the Transformers references? I have, yes. I was a little late to issue number 3, but I have been reading Void Rivals. I've been quite enjoying it. Skuxoid in a comic in the year of our Lord 2023. Yes, goodness gracious. I'll stick on with Void Rivals for the foreseeable anyway. Really enjoying it, and yeah, really looking forward to the new Transformers series as well. Grand Galvatron, back to this bad boy. If you don't know this guy, the idea with Grand Galvatron is he is a recolor of... This was Japanese exclusive in the Unite Warriors line. He's a recolor. The torso is a recolor of Combiner Wars Cyclonus in more animation-accurate purple, whose torso mode is colored to look like the original Galvatron toy. And his limbs... and the idea is that it's Cyclonus possessed by the ghost of the Marvel Comics universe version of Galvatron who dimension hopped into the Japanese cartoon universe. Simple, right? Who has been given this new power to become a combiner by Unicron. And the guys he combines with are other dead and wandering Transformers plucked from across the multiverse by Unicron and given these new combining bodies. So there is Starscream's Ghost. There is Armada Thrust. There's Prime Breakdown. Make sure that's in. Yep, Prime Breakdown. And then the right leg here is Roller. IDW Autobot Roller. Pop him off here. So that is why I brought him up when I was asked about those Optimus Prime companion videos. This guy is almost why I feel like it's worth doing a video on Roller. Because the conceit of this figure, if you'll permit me a moment, it's a recolor of Combiner Wars Rook. And the idea is that it transforms from the 6-wheeled APC, coloured all in silver, designed to look like Generation 1 Roller, the little buggy who lives inside Optimus Prime's trailer. And he transforms into a robot who has been coloured to look like Roller from the IDW comics. And the final reveal, essentially, at the end of the Unite Warriors storyline, like it was teased initially that this guy was Roller from the IDW universe. He had apparently, when this came out, we just got the story in the comics of how Roller had disappeared and never been seen again, and this the backstory behind this toy was like that he'd been abandoned by his comrades and left to wander between the dimensions, and this toy was that Roller, but then the reveal at the end of it all was that no, this wasn't IDW Roller, this was the Generation 1 Roller, Prime's little buggy guy who had been left trapped between dimensions when Prime had died in the film. The implication being that because his trailer was in subspace, when Prime died, that Roller was left trapped in subspace, trapped between the dimensions, and Unicron had plucked him out and given him this new body, and he had this resentment for being abandoned by his fellow Autobots. But of course, he overcame that, became a good guy, helped save the day at the end of the story, and I feel like that fascinating blend of the two characters into one is what makes really doing a video about Roller worthwhile. Although I think it would be a little tricky to write up a little better than I just described it there. Excuse me. Papa Jaden asks, you've done the Terrorcons, but not their opposite number, the Technobots. Yeah, they're like the last of the big Scramble City teams I haven't done is the Technobots. There are other combiners I haven't done yet, but the Technobots is kind of like the big one. No reason I haven't, just sort of haven't got around to it yet, but as Jaden points out, we definitely do need an updated Terrorcons basics. That was my first Halloween episode, was the Terrorcons, and they could stand an update, obviously, after Rise of the Beasts as well. Yeah, so Grand Galvatron, who is now lying face down on the floor without a leg, and Shadow Striker were my two purchases from TF Nation. There was another thing I was gifted here, which I must show you. Let's see, what's the button? Lift them up here so that they're on the screen. I was given these. Now this is the Transformers Newage 3-pack. Oh, they're not on the camera. Lift up into the camera. That's better. Yeah. The Chinese exclusive Transformer series that hasn't really properly been released. It was supposed to be this Chinese original sort of Cyberverse adjacent cartoon, and nobody really seems to know kind of what's happened there. They haven't been, the show hasn't been released. There was one big Newage toy of this character, Newage himself. Apologies for my pronunciations there for anybody listening in the chat who knows how to pronounce that better than I do. But then just recently this 3-pack turned up. Oh, I missed a super chat. Sorry, Tarn Nation is just saying I missed a super chat. How do I see that? Oh, I just realized I only have that. There we go. Yes, there's... sorry, folks. I had the wrong thing. Oh, Tarnation asks, any advice for voice acting? I've just started. I'm really not the chap to ask that question, to be honest. I have no professional talent. I've never done any real work in that field. I just do silly voices on podcasts sometimes, honestly. And if by voice acting even you just mean like narrating my own scripts, I'm just constantly fumbling, finding my own ways. I can't believe when I go back and look at some of the very first Basics episodes how completely different I sound in them. I don't know why that happened. I don't know when that happened. I don't know how my voice changed as much as it did, but yeah, I'm afraid I'm not the person to ask for advice on that. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, so the Newage guys, yeah, these were gifted to me by a lovely fellow named Jake and his wife Anna, who were visiting from China. If you're out there in the chat, they're viewers of the channel. Looks like I'm sorry, folks. Looks like I'm having a slight bit of lag. Hopefully that resolves itself. Yeah, these were gifts. Jake and his wife Anna visiting from China, and I was blown away, honestly, when he handed. I never thought that I would own these because they're just from China. You know, nobody even seems to really know anything about this show, what happened to it. It's so... I never thought I would own them, and I was just really knocked for six when I was gifted to them, and I'm very thankful, and I'm very happy to own them. This one here is the man himself, Nightshade, the lead character, who is a Chinese god, who is the god of motorists, the god of drivers, which is why they were doing a Transformers crossover with him. So these are just little Cyberverse sort of level toys. Nothing too involved. Thrilling TV, this. He's just a little guy. Look at him there. Yeah, I don't really know anything about the Chinese mythological character beyond what I just said, that is the god of drivers. Because I mentioned Nightshade back in the Transformers Around the World video, which must be, gosh, 4 years old now at this point. Still a video I'm quite fond of. But I think I ended that video by saying that this Nightshade series was supposed to be coming that year, and it still hasn't. Whatever happened with it. Anyway, that's Nightshade himself. Now, the other two here, I've actually forgotten these characters' names, so I'm just going to look them up because, hey, you know, you come to this channel for information, right? So I guess I might as well tell you the characters' names while I am at it. And of course, to do that, I'm going to pop over to TF Wiki because that's how we do around here. Nightshade portion of the going to be in here. Here we go. So this little car is named, and again I apologize for pronunciation in advance, Lei Zhenzi, or perhaps Zhenji, Lei Zhenji. And this is, I'll read off the wiki, why not? A Chinese deity, a powerful thunder wielder who fights alongside his friend and fellow deity Nightshade to protect the human world. And he is a little green sports car. This one's a little stiff. I'm constantly afraid I'm going to break this one big joint that the whole body pivots down on. Here we go. I can't transform and entertain at the same time. I can't think that fast. There we go. That little guy. Look at his little spiky lightning Dragon Ball Z hair. Oh my goodness, I just said Dragon Ball Z. The Americans will be raging. That's how you can tell I don't watch Dragon Ball Z, can't you? That little guy. And then the last one here is my favorite. This guy's name is Tu Ching Sun. And he is this little drill tank. And he's... They're just little guys, but this one is my favorite. Whoop. Ball joint off at the hip. He's got stiff knees. Like me. Hey, I'm 41. Woo. He's got real bulkhead energy, this guy. And I'll tell you a little something about him now. He is the Chinese deity, a mighty earth mover of incredible strength. And you can pop his drill off, fold these back, and get on there. Slip it on his hand there as well. I don't know why he's my favourite. He just is. He just has real bulkhead vibes. Look at these big feet on him. Those are bulkhead feet, right? Yeah, animated bulkhead I'm talking about, obviously. He's got those like short thighs, short legs, big bulky body. Yeah, I like him. He's my favourite one of the three. Okay, sorry. That was a silly little digression, wasn't it? Yes, Sin Vector. I love these little guys. He's a Robot Lorekeeper said he's so big, pal. He is. He's a chunky boy, says Suited Collectibles. Caleb randomly throwing out there that Blue Streak is an excellent video idea. You know he is. I've been thinking about Blue Streak a lot recently as well. I'm wondering if I might squeeze him in before the end of the year. We'll see. But yes, so Grand Galvatron and Shadow Striker were my only toy purchases at TF Nation. The three Newage guys were a gift. Then otherwise it was just stickers and badges and things, which I have. I mean, I'm not going to go through literally everything I got, you know, at TF Nation, but all right. And here's the sad/cute thing. You might have seen me if you follow me on Twitter. You might have seen these, but I just put all my souvenirs from convention seasons in folders every year. And I'm an adult, so whenever I get a sticker, I tend to be paralyzed with indecision about what to do with a sticker. So I started putting all my souvenirs in folders so that I could then simply put the stickers on the front of the folder. And it would all be everything got from a convention in one place. We got stickers here from David Cousins, and these ones are Gav Spence, if he's still out there in the chat. This is from Claude. These ones are from Chess, Captain Ogilvy on Twitter. I think that's everybody. Yeah, Gav, David, Claude, and Chess, I think, were all my stickers. And a couple of badges and bits and P. What else we got in? I don't even remember what all I got now at this point. Oh, there's the Refined Robot Co. zine from this year as well. I've got a piece of this one is curated by Ben Watson, WaspShot23. I have linked this in the community tab back whenever orders for it were open. I think you might have missed your chance now, but perhaps it might be put up digitally. I've got a piece in it this year. I did it. My goodness, there's too much stuff piling up around me here. I can't see what I'm doing. I did a write up of the original Armada Sideways toys, one of my favorites from the Armada series. Turns out whenever you ask me if I want to talk about a Transformers toy, I always seem to pick something from Armada, because I did a piece on Scavenger for last year's zine as well. Right, anyway. So that's probably enough talk about stuff and places that most of the chat were not at. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay, so I showed you already, I'm sure there's some new folk have joined the chat since, that next video coming up next week is going to be the Nemesis. And I did say that we have a legacy theme for the next couple of videos, inspired to do a couple of new videos based on some characters who have finally been receiving new toys in Legacy this year. So after Nemesis, I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to see that we will be taking a look at Strongarm, who has gone from an Energon character to a very different character in Robots in Disguise, and who just got a new toy, I think cementing them as the most significant new character from Robots in Disguise in the Legacy line this year. I just finished writing this one the other day, and it's come together quite nicely. There's a nice narrative. Sorry, Luke Wood makes a very good point. I hadn't thought about it, but it is another big lady video, yes. And I have also got her Legacy toy as well. Which I was a little hesitant about ordering because I wasn't a big fan of the Legacy Elita 1 Minerva mold. Didn't do a lot for me, but I thought about it because I like Strongarm and I want to support the release of, you know, some more non-standard. Will she focus if I push her in? No, it's not happening. You know, want to support the release of more toys from non-G1 sources. But then I wound up getting her in hand, and honestly, she is my favorite version of the mold. I wound up really liking her. They changed all the bits about the mold that annoyed me, and I think it came together very nicely. Yeah. David Mackey just saying in the chat there that I have a type, which may be truer than you realize. Yes, no, I will say, some folks in the chat there, G&I saying it looks unstrong, Convoy 914 saying I think it's too thin. I do agree. I think that her proportions are not quite where I would like them to be. They're not as different from the RID show as you would think. She does have quite a slender frame in the show. Everybody in RID has really broad shoulders and really tiny heads that makes them look bigger than they are, but her proportions still aren't quite where I would like them to be. I would like them to be somewhere a bit more there, big stompers, and the shoulders a little big, stompy legs, and the shoulders a little lower. The width of the shoulders is all right. It's the height of them that I think throws off the silhouette for me. But all the same, I did wind up enjoying. She fell down. Did wind up enjoying the figure a lot more than I actually expected to. Let's see. What do we got? Chat moving a little fast there. Armin Pipieri has asked a few times, how did the IDW More Than Meets the Eye comics series end? I'll not go into the details now. You can, if you want to see my description of how the IDW More Than Meets the Eye comics ended, I wrote the synopses on TF Wiki, so you can just go and read those articles. But I think the underlying question there is would I do a basics on More Than Meets the Eye? And I did that issue about Robots in Disguise, an Optimus Prime, John Barber's IDW run. Was that last year? Good gosh, it was last year, wasn't it? Gosh, that feels like it was not that long ago. Don't worry, no spoilers, MH. No spoilers for More Than Meets the Eye. But I will. Inevitably, I will do it at some point. I haven't been doing a lot with series this year because they weren't. Yes, there's Jolene Blake in the chat who sponsored that episode of Robots in Disguise. There is a bird outside chittering very loudly. I'm sure you can hear that, folks. I can only apologize. I haven't been doing a lot of series episodes. They didn't perform super well last year, but hey, some of the so I must say, thank you very much to all the Patreon sponsors who have sponsored episodes that we've just come to the end of. Some really good episodes came out of those. Fortress Maximus, well, I think they were all very nice ones. Fort Max, Generation 2, Minibots, and Battle Beasts. Generation 2 in particular did numbers. It did much better than I was expecting it to, because series based episodes just hadn't been getting the clicks, but that one turned out very well. Battle Beasts, sadly not so. I think I was very happy with the video as a piece of work. Unfortunately, I guess a lot of you guys, I think, didn't realize it had. It's funny. So that one doesn't have great views, obviously. If you haven't watched it yet, please do go and watch it, because I think it's very good. I think you may be surprised, but I think it is so obscure as a piece of Transformers lore, people don't even realize that it's connected enough to Transformers to know why they should want to watch it. They just see the thumbnail and they don't realize that there is a Transformers connection there. They think it's a video about something else entirely. But I think the video itself came together very nicely, and if you haven't watched it, please do give it a look. Hyper Mega Man asks, what is your least favorite Transformers show? Beast Machines? No, sir. Oh, goodness, no. Beast Machines wouldn't even be in the bottom half of Transformers show for me. Beast Machines is a good show, folks. No, it's got to be Energon. It's got to be Energon. I cannot ever imagine myself going back to rewatch Energon. There are many Transformers shows I can't. You know what? No, not many. There are some Transformer shows I can't really ever imagine myself going back to rewatch. I can't imagine myself going back to rewatch Rescue Bots Academy. I have tried to go back and rewatch the Netflix shows, the War for Cybertron trilogy, because I thought, well, I'll give it another look and maybe reassess it. I haven't made it past like the middle of Siege in those rewatches, and I can't imagine myself going back to rewatch Energon. But pretty much anything else, I could pretty much imagine myself watching again. But Beast Machines, I couldn't count how many times I've rewatched Beast Machines. Beast Machines is great. I think Beast Machines Bad feels like a supremely outdated notion to me. I mean, I'm not saying people who say Beast Machine's bad haven't watched Beast Machines or anything like that, but it does feel like something that lives on a reputation that lives on second hand, if you will, that people only think it's bad because people talk about it being bad. And I feel like critically it's been reappraised by a lot of younger fans who've come into it and experienced it as well. Oh, parched. Yeah, Cy Cyril says, anyone who hasn't watched Beast Machines or hasn't watched it in a long time, please give it a watch. It is fantastic. Oh, Jolene says that she does think anyone who thinks it's bad hasn't watched it. I mean, I don't want to be an old grandpa who says you had to be there, but I was there when Beast Machines was new, and I do, in the heat of the moment and at the time, I do understand some of the negative reactions, but the way Transformers has grown and evolved, Beast Machines was a real rude shock. It was a show that challenged what Transformers can be. It got very spiritual, and you know, fully organic, techno-organic Transformers that turn into plants, fully organic Transformers, and Transformers has just it's continued to grow past it. You know, Beast Wars obviously was a big change with the introduction of the organic animals, but excuse me, but Beast Machines was a step beyond with how it challenged fandom notions of what a Transformer is and what a Transformer show or a Transformer story can be. And 20 years later, many other shows have also done things just as different and so completely different from the original Transformers that the things Beast Machines did simply don't stand out anymore in my mind. Now, that's my view of it anyway. Let's see what else we got here. Dr. Coconut says, I think the concept really broadened the idea of Transformers being beyond vehicles. You know, like Beast Wars started it, but I think Beast Machines took it further, you know. Verzi Edits says, just finished watching Transformers Prime for the upteenth time. Do I have a favourite episode from that series? I mean, the brain is jumping to thirst, isn't it? One of the most, like, different standalone episodes from season 2. That's the zombie episode. That's just the Decepticons episode. Because, you know, just Decepticon episodes are quite unusual in Transformers anyway. As a general rule, you don't tend to get a lot of episodes that are like that. Is there any other? I mean, I really enjoy the finale episode. I think the Darkness Rising 5-parter is one of the best premieres that any Transformers cartoon has. Whatever all else you want to say about the quality of Prime and where the show wound up going and what it did and what it didn't do, I think that first 5-parter is a real winner. You know, as an introduction to what Transformers television is in a post live action movie world. That one stands out as well. I'm not very good at picking favorite episodes, you know, in the more serialized Transformers cartoons with continuing plots. I find it becomes harder and harder to pick out my favorite episodes versus something like G1 where I can say it's a Decepticon raider in King Arthur's court. Madhouse Studios says, I loved your Dreamwave video. I got the Prime Directive trade paperback because of it. Such a strange comic. Yes, I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Again, I was just saying there, some of the series-based and comic-based episodes weren't big successful ones last year, but that's the thing, as I say, they didn't always necessarily get the clicks, but I was very happy with them. They're a little bit more work, but I enjoy making videos that are about like the real world history of a series or the making of a series that's not just recounting the fictional history of a character. And I think the Dreamwave video came out very well. I think I was fairly even-handed in the way I talked about the company and the importance of it and the influence that it had, despite being run by a pair of crooks. And a strange comic, again, a fairly even-handed way of describing Prime Directive, eh? And we'll draw a veil We'll draw a veil over it there, shall we? Arkham205 asks if I'd consider doing an episode on Iacon, the city of Iacon. Huh. That's not one I'd thought of before. I'm not sure. That might just be... I hadn't really thought of that one before. I mean, I want to say yes off the top of my head, because Iacon, big Transformers name, a consistent thing that always appears, but I'm not sure what an episode like that, what form it would take. I'm not sure. No, I'd have to think about that one. Yeah. Blastertronus asks opinions on Nightshade and the drama that came along with their gender. I really like Nightshade. When the character was introduced in that final two-parter of the first batch of Earthspark, wasn't 100% sure. Not because of the non-binary thing. It's great to see. I was amazed and happy to see that coming over to the cartoons. I really thought that was something that would remain confined to the comics. I'm very impressed and pleased and proud that Hasbro were bold enough and brave enough and to bring that to TV. So all the props in the world for that. But really the only thing that Nightshade does in that two-parter is when the Terrans are having they're playing Megatron, they're bringing the Autobots in, pretending to hold them prisoner, and Nightshade is the one who cracks. They quiver before Mandroid, and they say, "Oh, you're more cruel than I ever imagined." And I thought, is that what you've chosen to do with the non-binary character, the one character that you're choosing to do this with in the show? You've decided to make them this tender, gentle little baby who can't even keep up the artifice, you know? And that made me... I pulled back from that a moment. But then the second batch dropped, and it turned out Nightshade is this kooky mad scientist. And that it was the where he's invented the little security machine. And what is I can't remember the exact line, but he says it's Model 8, and everyone says Model 8, and he says the other 7 tried to kill me in this. I think I'm sorry. I believe I've just used masculine pronouns for Nightshade there, not intentional, slip of the tongue. And that really solidified the character for me. They have found something special for this character that is not. It didn't seem. I wasn't sure I wasn't sure when the character was introduced based on that little exchange, but then when they introduced the mad scientist aspect, I was like, oh, this character has a thing. They're not just their pronouns. They've genuinely given this character a role and a purpose that they are not their pronouns, and that's all you can ask for, isn't it, when it comes to representation, that a character is not solely in there to bang a drum like that, to just be empty representation with no character behind it. So I was very happy, and I've really enjoyed what they've done with Nightshade since then. Yeah. Although I will say, Jawbreaker I think is my favorite. I love how soft he is. He's a little soft boy. Yeah, that the episode. What was it called? I can't remember the name. Earthspark, again, something I can see myself going back to rewatch, but which I have only watched through the once so far, so the names and precise episodes. But it's the one where he's trying to figure out his alternate mode, and he does the little video interviews with everybody, and like his name is Jawbreaker, and that sounds like a big tough name, Jawbreaker. And I wonder, like, I've certainly seen some people say it might just be in the TFWiki article for it, but likening him to a candy Jawbreaker, to say that he is sweet, because even the characters liken him to some kind of sweet dish, some kind of dessert in the show. But watching that episode where he was talking to other characters about trying to find their alternate modes and how he was able to get them to open up to him, I wondered if the meaning behind the name, calling him Jawbreaker, was that he gets people to talk. He not breaks their jaw, but you know, like metaphorically, he cracks them. He gets them to open. He gets them to talk. I wondered if that was maybe the intention behind the use of such a tough sounding name on such a soft little guy. But it might just also be the candy. I mean, as Karen Seraph in the chat says there, Jawbreakers are hard, but also candy. So that might be it. Yeah, I think he's my favorite, though. I think Jawbreaker, yeah. But he didn't seem like he had Dinobot energy, though, did he? But I like what they've... yeah, I like him. I like what they've done with him. Oh, there's a message from High Tide Kraken. Asks, your videos made me want to deep dive into TF lore. Love binging the basics. Thank you very much, Kraken. That is... I'm very happy about that, because I've always thought, and I've always tried to... with the videos, they're meant to be a starting place. I don't think my videos should ever be the final word on a subject. They should be a broad overview of history, and if you see like a few sentences describing something in a video and you want to learn more about that you can go and dive into that. Yeah, my videos, I've always felt that they're a starting point for people to hopefully begin a Transformers journey. And I'm glad, Kraken, that they've inspired you to. I'm happy about that. JT asks, what are your thoughts on Earthspark? Well, I was already saying very positive things about Earthspark. Yes, to put it simply, best thing since Prime, best thing in the last decade. It's not even close. I am glad that money and effort is going into the show. I'm so happy that it's centered around new characters. I am happy that it's doing things that haven't been done in Transformers cartoons before, bringing over some of the most different new ideas from the comics, like Megatron and exploring gender. Though I will say, it does feel like I mean, to know that Nicole Dubuque and May Cat were working on it, I was on board with Earthspark before one episode had aired, because we knew about the talent involved, and it's a shame that they have both left the show now to work on other projects. So I hope that it can continue to keep the quality up. Though I will say that I do feel like that first batch of 10 in particular felt like it seeded a bunch of story ideas that the back half of the season didn't quite pay off in the way you would have thought they should have, perhaps because of, say, interference or changing creative teams behind the scenes. Like for instance, that the episode that ends where we see Soundwave has actually allowed himself to be captured and put in Ghost's secret prison so that he can release Ravage. It obviously feels like it's setting up some kind of prison break story. And that's never paid off. But we have seen the deleted scene in which Ravage recovers a remote control from a ghost storage closet that Starscream uses to release Shockwave. But that doesn't now that scene should have been kept, I will say that. But that doesn't map on to the idea of Soundwave allowing himself to be captured and let into the prison. Something changed there. It would have been better to keep, because it does feel like there's just a big subplot hole in the season without that scene in it. But even that scene doesn't really logically follow on from what that episode Decoy established. Likewise, the first 10 really dance around establishing the relationship between Alex Malto and Mandroid, that Alex never finds out about Mandroid. Like Mandroid finds out about Alex and the Maltos, but Alex, and it feels like it is like he recognizes the Arachnimex as Mandroid's technology, as his old friend's technology, and we see Mandroid pulls his punch at the last second when he realizes he's gonna hurt Alex, and then it comes to nothing whenever we see the characters actually meet on screen in the a couple of episodes before the end. It's just, Dr. Meridian? Yep. Hi, how are you? Well, goodness me. And that's it. Nothing comes of it. Again, it feels like something changed behind the scenes there, And at TF Nation, I was talking to May Cat about some of this stuff, and she didn't say anything. She's very good about not saying anything, but it does. I kind of got the implication from her that there's a lot of pressure. It feels like on Earthspark to succeed, and I think it is succeeding thus far. My goodness, that bird will not shut up, will it? Can you guys hear that? It really seems really loud to me. I wonder if it's coming across on the stream. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Waverod asks, how do you do scheduling? You have a pretty good idea of what videos you're going to do over the next several months. Do you have a pretty good idea of what videos you're going to do over the next several months, or are there gaps you have yet to fill? I tend to know at least the next couple. Right now, I know most of the rest of the year because Obscure Characters Month is December. So I know most of what I'm doing that month. I know how many videos I have between now and then. I've revealed a few to you here today, so that means there's only... I've like 1 or 2 gaps I have to definitely lock down that I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do yet this year. the basics on that loud bird! Yes, Flutterflyer. But otherwise, yeah, I'm always a little bit ahead. I had a really nice buffer in the first half of this year, because I wanted to do... I knew from the start of the year that I wanted to do weekly episodes in June to go along with Rise of the Beasts. And once I did those weekly episodes, that demolished my buffer. So now we'll be on a bi-weekly schedule in the back half of the year as I build up the buffer again towards Obscure Characters Month. And hopefully if I can build up the buffer enough, I might get around to doing that video I was talking about earlier on about the development of Transformers the movie, talking about the first draft. We will see how things go. All being well, hopefully I can get ahead a little bit. Blastertronus there asks, what's my opinion on Transit, and do you think his deleted scene should have been kept in? I mean, I don't really have an opinion on Transit the character, because he's not really a character, is he? Except to say that we don't get a lot of buses, and it's nice that there was a guy who was a bus. And it'd be nice if they did a toy of him. I could see them doing a toy of him, but we'll see, I guess. I don't think the scene should have been kept, though. I think it's to start the film with the attack, Unicron's attack on the Maximal Homeworld, in the style of the Unicron's attack on Lithone in the 86 movie. That's a much better choice than starting it with Optimus fighting a Decepticon, and just randomly having 1 Decepticon in a film that already has 3 factions fighting in it seems like extra clutter to me. I don't know. I think removing it was the right choice. But it's always nice to see to actually have the deleted scene. I haven't rewatched Rise of the Beast since the cinema because I'm waiting for the Blu-ray. I like to wait for the Blu-rays. There's Gav. Gav Spence asks, screen jump there. With these streams, it's clear that fans of your videos are interested in your personal takes. Do you have any desire to create videos geared towards your own opinion on certain subjects? Not really, honestly. No, I feel like that's what I get it out in the streams. People ask me what I think of things and I just get it out here. Because, again, I feel like the basics, generally speaking, does a good job of being fairly impartial. I've always said that there may be... I mean, heck, I was just talking about things I can't ever really imagine myself going back to watch again, even though there may be aspects, Transformers series and stories I'm not personally a fan of. They will have been someone's first Transformers story. They will have been their entry point into Transformers. And if I come along and just talk crap about them, that's not going to serve anybody any good. That's not going to help anybody's Transformers journey. They're not going to watch any more videos of mine if they hear me talking down their favorite show. So that's why the basics has always been about trying to treat everything pretty impartially, unless there's a sort of general consensus viewpoint on something having been a bad idea that informed that maybe future stories responded to. I guess I'm really thinking of IDW's handling of RC here and how it started badly and how later writers reacted to that by retconning the details to try and make a better representation, try and improve the characters. role in the comics, off the top of my head. Yeah, so I've never really thought the need to do opinion videos. That I think is what I get that out in the live streams. But then I also don't. I mean, I know this negativity gets you clicks or whatever. Nah, I can't be having with it. That's why I'm not on forums very much. I derive no enjoyment from being negative about things. Doing videos about things that I enjoy, sure, but then I feel like I get my excitement of an enjoyment of many Transformers series. That I feel like that comes when I'm doing a video about a character or a series I enjoy. I feel that excitement and that enjoyment tends to come across in the basics. So yeah, I don't generally feel like I have any great desire to do videos about my opinions on stuff beyond these streams. No. Fudgebro Gaming asks, what's your thoughts on Saberback and Sludge? I should do the basics on them. Saberback, the Beast Wars Neo guy? Don't think I could get a video out of him, unless you meant Snarl, the Stegosaurus, and Sludge. Sludge is kind of one of my low-key fave Dinobot. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I have a soft spot for Sludge. But yeah, all the Dinobots will definitely get their own individual videos one of these days. They each have just enough stuff going on that they can get. I've been thinking about the Dinobots again lately because of those new core class figures. I'm like, who's going to be the next one? It'll probably be Sludge. Like Snarl. Now, connect these dots. I've been thinking about Snarl because his new Studio Series figure came out, but I feel like I have to hold off on him because there's a new Tasmania Kid figure rumored to come out next year. Tasmania Kid being the Japanese Beast Wars second version of the Beast Wars Tasmanian devil character named Snarl, who would be covered in a Snarl video. So that is why I am pushing Snarl, kicking the Snarl can down the road ever so slightly. Fallen King Gaming there, very keen to get an episode on Terrorsaur. I feel like I could probably do an episode on Terrorsaur, but it's not going to be a long one. He's like of the original 10 Beast Wars guys, he's the other one. Like, yeah, he had a role in Beast Wars as being the Starscream of that series, but he has not had much else. There was a little in Armada, in the Energon comics, and the IDW Beast Wars comic series at the end there. Did a little something with him as well, but it wouldn't be a big one. Terrorsaur would be a brief one. It's probably why I haven't got to him yet. We still got Tarantulas, Beast Wars Silverbolt, Rampage. These are guys who will probably get videos before Terrorsaur will, I'll be honest with you. Oh, so thirsty. Oh, John Sesterak says, basics on Sunstorm. Again, been thinking about Sunstorm for a little while now, because I just think it's so interesting how Sunstorm was everywhere for a hot minute, and now they just seem to will not make a new Sunstorm for whatever reason. So there's an interesting story to chart there. Yeah, I want to do a basics on Sunstorm. I've been thinking about him. I think he'll probably be early next year. Yeah. Diego Roa asks the basics on Lugnut. Another one. I feel like with Lugnut, Lugnut is like one more big appearance away from a video. Feels like he needs just one more little thing to tip him over the edge, to have just enough. Because what do you got? I'd probably include the Cybertron motorcycle Lugnuts just to pad the video out. But then you get animated. You get the Reveal the Shield toy and the little cameos it had in comics, and then you get Clobber from Cyberverse, and that's about it for Lugnut. Needs a little more, I think, before I can get to a video on him. JT says the basics on Breakdown. Yes, absolutely. Want to do the basics on Breakdown. Just simply haven't done it yet because I don't want to keep Dead End's another example. Somebody keeps in the comments is always asking for Dead End. But I just did the Stunticons a couple of months ago. Don't want to follow it up with Stunticons so soon after. Just wait until a respectable amount of time has passed. Then we'll get to it. D-Rice Raid, flipping chat. D-Rice Raid Fanfics asks the basics on all types of Transformers fan fictions. I don't think I'm the guy for that. No, I've never been a big Transformers fanfic reader, but that bird will not leave. No, I don't think that I could do that one. No, I don't think that would be something that would... I'm not the guy you should come to for that one, I don't think. Hayden Spring says, a comic shop had a copy of Transformers Terminator and I almost bought it, but it was damaged. I want to read that. Yeah, that was a fun little miniseries. Of course, you got to go second-hand or secondary market on that now, of course, since it's IDW and that's all out of print now. Nova Cybertron asks, in my opinion, is there a better group than the Dinobots? I'm not a huge Dinobots guy. Like, I like the Dinobots, but I'm not a mark for them, you know? I was a little surprised at how much I wound up liking the Studio Series toys, because I'm not a Dinobots mark. But, so there's probably a bunch of guys that I would put above the Seacon, above the Dinobots as a personal favourite, like maybe the Seacons, what I was trying to say there, but I jumped ahead. Seacons, old favourites of mine, you know. Love the Combaticons as well. But there is an inherent cool factor to the Dinobots, but I've just never been a huge Dinobots guy, you know. Rumble and Frenzy Basics, Murphy Beale asks, yeah, it's on the list. I've been thinking maybe towards the end of this year, maybe next year. I haven't locked it in yet. Do I have any plans? Jacob asks for basics on Brainstorm and Override. Brainstorm, I've thought a little bit about, but it doesn't feel like a very exciting video. Override would be a nicer one. Again, she's been kind of on my mental shortlist for a while, yeah. Cuddly Fox asks which Seacons. There were two versions of them. I was thinking of the original Seacons, mainly because they were the only combiner I ever completed as a kid. But the Beast Wars Seacons aren't bad either. Robo Plays asks, I've got a guess for the other Legacy video. Is it basics on DevCon? Well, that seems like as good a cue as any to show you what it is. You know, it nearly was DevCon. I really did think about it, but instead I decided to go, this one's going to be in October. It's not the Halloween episode. I already know what the Halloween episode is going to be, but it is Creepy Month. So I thought we'd have a look at Bombshell in October, whose new Legacy toy has just been released. I realized way back when I did the original Insecticons video, which, gosh, again, must be 5 years ago. I haven't checked, but it feels like it must be about 5 years ago. I realized when I was writing it that Bombshell could definitely support his own episode. He is an Insecticon. He's really got his own personality. He's had a lot of unique personal story roles and driven plots in a way that the other Insecticons haven't. And yeah, it just popped into my head recently. I was like, hey, he's got a new toy. I remember thinking 5 years ago that would be a video I could do. That seems like the time. It's Bombshell. So those are the 3 videos that are coming up. Next week, it's the Nemesis. Then later in September, it's going to be Strong Arm. And then in October, we'll have Bombshell. And the creepy theme will continue towards the end of the month with the Halloween episode. I know what it's going to be, but I don't have a thumbnail yet, so I'm not going to tell you. Can't give everything away so far in advance. But I bet some of you can figure it out. Zachary Delia says, I'm not a big Insecticon guy, but a bit of individual coverage will be cool. Yeah, I'm not a big Insecticon guy either, but Bombshell is neat. I like Bombshell. Silas Breakdown asks, do you think Tarn has enough for a solo episode? I mean, when I have an episode about the Decepticon Justice Division, and that was Patreon sponsored. They had asked for the basics on Tarn, but at that point Tarn hadn't appeared outside of IDW, so I did a Tarn and the Decepticon Justice Division video. But given that all he's actually done since then is have his Cyberverse appearance and his Legacy toy, I wouldn't give Tarn an individual video. I would just do an updated DJD video to add that stuff onto the end of it. Nathan Merrifield wonders if the Halloween episode is Frankenstein Megatron. What that new collaborative Frankentron toy? No, it's not. It's an idea I had for a Halloween episode last year. I'm just gonna say it continues the creepy theme that Bombshell establishes, and you'll find out what it is towards the end of next month. When trademarks occur, is it over who had the original ownership or something else? Robo Plays asks. I'm not sure what you're asking there, Robo Plays. Do you mean whenever a name has to be changed because of trademark? I'm not quite sure what question you're asking. If you can rephrase that, I don't know a lot about trademark, but I can maybe try and answer it. Manilo Mini Lop Gamer wonders if it's the basics on the Hate Plague. I've wondered about the basics on the Hate Plague, because the basics on Cosmic Rust a few years ago got mad numbers on it, and I wondered if something like the Hate Plague would do just as well, but it doesn't have quite enough. Oh, that's why I was thinking about that. It came to mind because they did that bit in Earthrise where they like sort of alluded to the Hate Plague, where Megatron like summoned up all his hate, and it was this big roiling red beam, and I felt like that was a Hate Plague reference. I could probably do an episode about the Hate Plague. RDHNLB asks, just got a quick question. Do you ever plan on doing basics on Breakdown or Tarantulas? Yes, 100%. Both of those characters will absolutely have videos of their own. Tarantulas, it's just I always, basically the only reason Tarantulas hasn't yet is because I always try to space out the Beast Wars guys, and I did a whole month of Beast stuff in June. So Tarantulas, probably not until next. Yeah, I don't see squeezing him into the schedule before the end of this year. So probably next year though with Tarantulas, and again probably next year with Breakdown too. Those being two guys who have also just had roles in Earthspark, so we maybe need to see if they're going to reappear in Earthspark. Gotta tread a little carefully when there's a new cartoon on the air. I don't want to drop a Breakdown episode and then a month later the new Earthspark episodes come out and he has a massive starring role across multiple episodes. That'll just annoy me, like when it happened with Crypticon in Cyberverse. Autobot Reviews says, you should ask a ton of people about a Transformer they made as an OC or something and do the basics on that. I try not to cover fan works on the basics, honestly. That's always my line on why I don't do third-party stuff. If I'm covering people's OCs and if I'm talking about fan fictions, that's just, third-party toys are just the physical toy equivalent of OCs and fan fiction. They're not official. Not an official part of Transformers. The only times I would mention things like that is if they went on to inform future depictions, like when I talked about Jam in the Hotshot video, or I'm sure there must be another example of something like I'll have to talk about the whole Cyclonus thing in the Bombshell video, and that's a big fan debate, or Brawn. Whether he died or not, mentioned that in the Brawn video. These things that sort of control the discussions about characters, but try not to cover fan works too much in the basics. Tyrant King asks, can you do the basics on the live action movies like I did with animated? People ask about the movies, and it's not that I couldn't do the movies, but there's something so... someone, I think I saw a question scroll past earlier about episodes I dread doing. And I wouldn't say I dread doing episodes about the movies or anything, but it just feels like such real-world film journalism. Like the productions of those films are so well charted on film blogs and everything, and I know the comments are going to be a living trash fire. So I could, but I'd really have to work up the enthusiasm, or you could sponsor it. I've always felt like the way to do them would probably be to do an episode for each film rather than for the movieverse as a whole. I feel like such a broad, what's that? 20. That's over 15 years of stuff to. It feels like individual episodes per movie would be the way to do that, rather than as a look over the whole universe. But I have to be honest, I've never worked up the enthusiasm for that. I always absolutely try to cover the movie universe stuff fairly, and it's always incorporated. I've done episodes about movie characters like Blackout and Barricade and Crosshairs, where the movie versions of the characters are the most famous. That never, I'll never exclude the movies from an episode. And something originating in the movies is not a reason I wouldn't. I did the video about the Allspark. It's just actually talking about the making of the films themselves. I find it hard to summon up a great amount of passion for talking about the making of films whose makings of have been so well charted as compared to cartoons and toy lines. I'm not saying I'll never do it, because I'm sure I will actually wind up doing it. Because a hero there in the chat says, I think Lindsay Ellis's series, The Whole Plate, includes everything you need. Yes, I mean, that was Lindsay actually looking at the Transformers film series like through the lens of film. Well, it was more like she was looking at the nature of film criticism through the lens of the Transformers movies. But that's better than anything I could ever do, I'll tell you that much. RoboPlace clarifies that question they were asking earlier about trademarks was about when a name needs to be changed. It's usually because that Hasbro's existing, when a name has to be changed, it's usually because Hasbro's trademark on a name lapsed, because all trademarks run out and they have to be renewed. And before they were able to do it, another company acquired the trademark. So Bombshell is a great example. He was Bombshell for a long time, and then there was no new Bombshell toy between 1991 and 2009. And in the interim, someone else acquired the name Bombshell, so Hasbro had to start calling him Hardshell. But by the time, and that name was only used on like a Creon or a Robot Hero, and in Prime, obviously, and in the video games. But before the next Bombshell toy got made in Combiner Wars, the people who had the trademark on the name Bombshell, their trademark lapsed, and Hasbro were able to reacquire it. So all the Bombshell toys, I say all, both the Bombshell toys, Combiner Wars and Generations, that we've had were able to actually be released under the Bombshell name. Verzi Edit says, you mentioned wanting to do a video about the original script for the 1986 movie. What would warrant a basics episode on the movie? I don't think anything would warrant it. It's one I have always sort of thought about doing. I almost did it a year or two ago for the 35th anniversary, but the timing just sort of didn't line up. I don't think I'll wait until the 40th anniversary of the movie to do it. But yeah, a basics on like TFTM, absolutely something I could do, something I want to do, just haven't got around to it yet. But it wouldn't really talk in any detail about the original script and the specifics of the development. Like a video about the original script and the development of the film to its finished state. It wouldn't be a basics format video. It might be a little looser, might be a bit less scripted. So yeah, that would be, yeah, they'd be very different things. Diego Roa asks if I can make the basics on Silverbolt or Octopunch. Silverbolt, that's one, again, it's on that leaked list for next year. They're talking about doing a new Beast Wars Silverbolt figure, so holding off till we see what happens there. So no Silverbolt till just then. Octopunch, yeah, probably. Octopunch doesn't have a lot going on, but I could probably squeeze one out somewhere, yeah. That sounded a bit dirty, didn't it? A couple of people have asked what happened with the Art of Transformers series and if I'll continue it. I never say never, but I feel like I've moved on past it. I don't have a lot of enthusiasm for returning to it. I think if I did return to that series, I might start it over again because more better model sheets have come to light since. There would be, there would be some changes I would make to it. I feel like enough has happened since I started that series that a 5th part would. I don't know. Maybe someday something will happen there, but I don't feel like I would just make a 5th part and stick it on the end of the series. I feel like more needs to be done with that series. Excuse me. RDHNLB asks, not sure about the grammar on that. I think they're asking what episode took the longest to make. I always go to the quintessons on that one because I remember it struggling with it, but I don't know if it genuinely took the longest. Like Megatron was a big undertaking, and I remember I took like an extra week off after I'd finished the Megatron episode because it was a big undertaking. If I kept better records, I could give you like literal numbers about how long certain ones took to do, but yeah, Simon Ledge says, knowing my luck, I'll do the Transformers the movie video and then the Secret of Cybertron, the long lost intermediary script, will turn up the following week. Well, hey, maybe that's the extra reason I should do the video. We can finally shake that script out of the ether. Murphy Beale says, Rescue Bots, since Chase is getting a new figure. Yes, that's another figure on the list for next year is Chase. I think Chase might be able to support his own video. There's enough little weird trivia surrounding Generation 1 Chase and how he got sort of deleted from his first appearance in the original cartoon, and how they messed up his coloring in the Marvel comic, and then how they did make a new toy of him in Titan's Return. Like there might be just enough stuff in there to get an episode out of Chase. So I don't know that. Of all the Rescue Bots, like Chase feels like the one who could maybe have a video of his own. But a video about Rescue Bots, I should really do a video about Rescue Bots. I love Rescue Bots. Mushroom Meister wonders about an episode for the Junkions and Wreck-Gar. I mean, largely been holding off on doing that because of all the Junkions coming out this year. Now that we've seen them all and they're all out, that's definitely back towards the front of the list now, because it does feel like that's I was going to say of the movie guys, that's a big omission. Speaking of the movie, Flutterflyer also notes the Quintessons need an updated. They really do. It was like as soon as I did that video, suddenly Quintessons were everywhere. I was like, yeah, the only famous Quintesson stories since the originals are the weird ones, Energon, The Last Night, and then suddenly it was Quintessons in Cyberverse, Quintessons in Cyberverse, Quintessons in Earthrise. Though mind you, I based on that little tease at the end of season 1 of Earthspark with Mandroid talking about liberating the Sharkticons from their cruel masters. I don't know. I think that season 2 of Earthspark could be some Quintessons there maybe. So kind of got to hold off on the Quintesson update till we see what's happening there. Oh, that's a question I've never had before. Papa Jaden asks, what was the easiest Basics episode to make and why? Well, I was going to say it was probably an Obscure Characters Month episode because they're short. And that means they come together quite quickly, and I don't find myself having to pore over information figuring out how to pare it down. But leaving those aside, I'm not sure. Maybe a Beast Wars one, because I have such love for Beast Wars that I find it really flows out of my fingers. Some days you sit down in front of the blank page and it just comes together. You know, there was, I've forgotten what it was, but there was a video I did earlier this year where it was like blank page to finished and recorded audio. It's blank page Monday morning, script finished, audio recorded and fully edited, ready to make video for it by Wednesday. But I can't remember which video that was. And I've kind of had a little bit of that with Strong Arm. This week as I've been working on the Strong Arm script. I found that one has really sung. That one's really come together. I really found the narrative on that one. What other companies would you like to do basics on? Stella Holly asks, like IDW or Fun Publications. IDW, I probably do need to go back and talk, because one of my first videos was an IDW one, and obviously their time with the brand has ended now, so an updated sort of retrospective video would be something to do. Fun Publications, I feel, I've been thinking lately about how a basics on BotCon would have been a good thing. I feel like I wouldn't single out Fun Pub, I'd probably just talk about BotCon as a whole, and the club within that. Yeah. Other companies. I've done all the Marvel stuff. I don't know. Nothing really springs to mind company-wise. No, yeah. The other, it's the big comic stuff, IDW, Fun Pub. No, I can't think of anything else there. Is there a topic or character I refuse to cover? If there is, I haven't come up against it. I feel like the ones that I was talking about the movies earlier on, I kind of go, that's the idea of covering them makes me groan, and I haven't yet. But I don't think I've come up against anything that I refuse to cover. I've always had on Patreon for the sponsored episode, I've always had a little disclaimer that says I reserve the right to say no, and I always say safe for work subject material, though I don't know what, because I was also saying there earlier that I don't really cover fan works, so I don't know what you could ask for that would be safe for work. So I can't think of anything I point blank refuse to cover. No. Though, as I always say when anybody asks me that question, I don't feel like I would have done Kiss Players by now if somebody hadn't sponsored it. So Diego Rowe asks the basics on Blades. We really just got the G1 guy and the random reuses of the name and the Rescue Bots guy. I don't know that there is quite enough for Blades. Madhouse Studios asks the forbidden question: do you think Rumble is red or blue? I have a very stock answer for this one, which is that the head says that Rumble is red, but the heart says that Rumble is blue. And I'll leave it at that. DJ asks, hey Chris, great to see you. You're looking handsome today. Thank you very much. Very flattering. Just curious, what music am I listening to lately, musical-wise? You know what? I am not a music guy. I do not really listen to a lot of music. I have a hole in my soul in that regard, I'm afraid. I'm not a musical guy. I don't really listen to specific artists or albums. At best, I'll listen to random songs, maybe just a random play next on YouTube at most, I don't really listen to music when I work. I tend to have TV on in the background instead. And that's when I'm editing, that is. And I'm the kind of guy who needs like silence when I write. I can't have music or other stuff going on. Doesn't work for me. Yeah, I was listening to, that's pretty sad actually, but I was listening to the 86 movie soundtrack yesterday because it happened to come up on a random YouTube music playthrough, which is the most predictable answer for a dork, like a Transformers dork, to say. Hey, I was listening to the Transformers movie soundtrack. Let's see. Hey, there's Jim Sorensen in the chat, and somebody reacting with great shock to Jim Sorensen being in the chat. Shout out to Jim, by the way. I don't give Jim enough credit sometimes, but Jim is always a great help anytime I need art that isn't widely accessible on the internet, because Jim did the visual history of Transformers book, so he's got a big library of high-res art assets, and if I ever have any trouble finding a piece of art, I'll always ask Jim and say, do you have this? Can you search this out for me? Is this in your archive? And Jim is always only too happy to help, so always great thanks to Jim, and you guys should all thank him as well. The RDHNLB there again asks, during my basics on Rhinox, you said he was my favourite character from the show. Yes. Could I ask what was the connection to why you liked him so much and why he was your favourite? That's a good question. I only realised that Rhinox was my favourite afterwards. I always liked Rhinox he had so many layers, because he was the brains he was the science guy, he was the brains, he was the tech guy, but he was also the muscle, and he was also quite, like, he had those spiritual moments, and he was kind of like the heart of the team as well. He was the guy in early episodes, like, he plays peacemaker among the Maximals when they have conflict. Rhinox is kind of the glue that holds the Maximals together in a way. He has a lot of layers and fills a lot of roles in a way that doesn't ever feel inorganic, or like he has different character aspects that are fighting with each other. And then there's the whole episode where he becomes a Baden, gets reprogrammed into a Predacon, and we talk about how he could be a leader if he wanted to be, but he doesn't, because he's happy to have that lower decks life, to just be one of the guys doing his tech work, being the muscle guy. And he has those great. One of my all-time favorite Rhinox moments is, what is it? It's Other Voices in season 2 of Beast Wars, where the Predacons have. Wait, is it Other Voices? No, it's Aftermath. Aftermath, the first episode of season 2 of Beast Wars, where the Predacons, Megatron is inside the Axelon, and Rhinox has been offline in the CR chamber for most of the episode, but Megatron is duffing up. Yes, that's right. Megatron's having a fight with the other Maximals outside, and then you hear Rhinox roar down the lift, that the access elevator into the Axelon. He looks down the shaft from inside the Axelon down to Megatron outside, and he goes, "Megatron!" And you hear the of the chain gun starting to spin up, and Megatron goes, "Time for a tactical withdrawal." And I'm like, yeah. When, like, as soon as Rhinox stepped onto the field, Megatron was like, that'll do for me. And then there's that great moment in Victory in season 1 of Beast Wars where Rhinox just beats the stuffing out of Megatron, grabs him, stuffs him into that elevator, and just jettisons him as the out of the ship. And I really only realized this when I was writing a profile for Rhinox, writing a character write-up of Rhinox for the TF Nation souvenir magazine booklet program back in 2017, I believe that was. And it was as I was rewatching some old episodes to just make a few notes about Rhinox's role in the show and all the important beats I needed to hit while describing his character. I was like, wait, is Rhinox my favourite one? And that was my realization moment, that it was like, wait a minute, Rhinox is real cool, actually. Yeah. And then, of course, as Papa Jaden points out, you also got the episode where he literally farts the Predacons into oblivion. So he contains multitudes, does Rhinox. Somebody said, I think I missed Guzzy Hero I did miss a super chat. Guzzy Hero asked, the basics on Jim Lee would be a no-no. I'm going to assume, Guzzy, you meant Pat Lee there. And I feel like I covered as much as I would ever want to spend talking about Pat Lee in the Dreamwave episode. Though, people have asked in the past about basics episodes about individual creators. And, like a basics on Simon Furman, or a basics on Bob Budiansky, or for example, a basics on Pat Lee. And I feel like Furman is really the one guy that really has the sheer legacy and is responsible for creating so much beyond those original characterizations across such a huge swathe of time, that he's the one creator who could really warrant his own dedicated episode. But I also feel a little funny about making episodes about real people who are still with us. It feels voyeuristic. I don't know, it feels a bit... It unsettles me. I don't like the feel of doing it, so I don't know. Oh, so there you go. Sorry, I'm jumping. Antonio Sobrero is just saying there, maybe a basics episode for the people that helped to create Transformers, like Bob Budiansky or Jim Shooter. Yes, I mean, with Jim, thing about Jim Shooter is there's so much more beyond Transformers that you would talk about, and Budiansky, like, he was really responsible for the foundation of it all, and then, but I feel like after that, on his work on the Marvel comic, it didn't introduce a lot of huge and long-lasting... Like, he brought us the Matrix, the creation Matrix in the comics, but it's not like with Furman, whose ideas percolated and spread, you know. Budiansky's were mostly about characterization, where Furman was about cosmology, like really shaping the universe, the intricacies of the universe and the workings of the universe, whereas Budiansky shaped the characters within it. You know, that's how it feels to me anyway, you know, but there's a discussion to be had there. There's a debate to be had there. Tyrant King asks, what police car do you think Prowl should be if he was in a live-action movie? Ooh, nah, I'm not the guy to ask that. I do not know from cars. I do not know car makes. That surprises some people, you know, when I say that I don't know about car makes and stuff, but I don't. Sure, I mention car makes in the videos, but only whenever... I really only mention car makes for Diaclone guys because they were 100% designed to be those cars, and when they were Diaclone toys, they were sold specifically labeled as those cars. But then in all the years since, whenever we get fake cars, we get toys that look vaguely like the front of a car stuck to the back end of a car with the different headlights of another car. That stuff I don't ever mention. I don't talk about that stuff because it's all just fandom deduction anyway, and there's room to be... Like, I had somebody leaving a comment on the Brawn video the other day saying Brawn is a Suzuki Jimny, and I know they're just repeating that from having read it on TF Wiki, but that was only added to TF Wiki a year or two ago, because I went and looked after I got this comment, and I looked up a picture of a Suzuki Jimny, and that's not Brawn. He's not one of those. It's the same basic shape and the same basic vehicle, but none of the actual details match. So I try not to rely on things like that. So that's why in the Braun video, I only ever call him an off-road SUV. You know, I don't call him the specific model because it's probably made up. Like all the Mysterians guys, like Gears and Huffer, they're just made up vehicles as well. Unlike the Takara Microchange and Diaclone things, which were actually based on real cars and sold under the names of those real cars, you know. Michael Bryan asks if I can tell the story of Toxitron. Well, not to give you any spoilers for Obscure Characters Month in December, but... and we'll leave it there. Oh yeah, there you go, Archivist saying, it's like when people insist the CW, the Combiner Wars Alpha Bravo mode is totally a dolphin, and it doesn't look like one at all. Yeah, I can't get with, like, fan opinions of but I don't know that. I don't know vehicle makes anyway. Like oh my goodness, that Trainbots video, there was a lot of work went into checking and looking up and confirming what train makes all those guys were, because that's the thing about trains in Japan, is that while a lot of cars today are just the headlights and the bonnet and the bum end of a car all stuck together to make fake made-up cars that draw inspiration from loads of different types of cars. If a Japanese company makes a toy of a train, it's a very flippin' specific, precise model of train that they have made there. And I had to spend a lot of time just confirming all that. And I did not get one comment on the Trainbots video from anyone telling me that I got any of the train names wrong. And that's a little badge of honor, because I know that if I did and there were any real fans watching that video, they would have jumped in there to correct my train terminology. So I'm very pleased that did not happen. The hard work paid off on the Trainbots video. So there was a question I saw there a second ago. Tyrant King there again asking if I could do the basics on Scorn. Don't think so. Not really enough history behind Scorn. Oh, I thought Psychosaurus was correcting me on a train thing there, but I see that we are having some fun instead, and I was ready to kick off there. You nearly got me, Psychosaurus. Favorite crab Transformer? Be Quiet asks. Well, there ain't many of them, are there? But how do you beat Rampage? I mean, I like Razor Claw, but come on, Rampage, you know. Is that fear you're feeling, Maximal? Yes, let it consume you. Love Rampage. Really want to do a video about Rampage. It'd be a weird video, obviously, because you get the nobody Predacon who's never been a distinct character in anything. And that is to say the Generation 1 Predacon, sorry, I mean to say. And then the Beast Wars Predacon, who's just the sickest dude, but obviously doesn't have much outside of Beast Wars either. Like, you got Beast Wars, you got Beast Wars Uprising, and again, that's about it, you know. I might even find myself like covering the Beast Wars manga just to have more Rampage stuff to talk about, because I like Rampage. Pi Hamilton asks, where's Windblade these days? You know, and I feel like that's a sentiment I've heard a lot lately, and I don't feel like Windblade has disappeared in the way people talk about Windblade having disappeared. Like, yeah, okay, she hasn't had a mainline, like a Generations toy since Titan's Return, sure. But like, she was throughout Cyberverse up until its end. So all that Windblade has actually been absent from was the War for Cybertron trilogy. Okay, she hasn't been in Earthspark yet. It's only one season down. I could definitely see her turning up in it. And there is a Windblade toy on the leaked list for Legacy next year. So I don't feel like Windblade has disappeared quite to the extent people act like she has. Though I will say that the way she was being promoted as being like the third Autobot, you know, you got Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave are your Decepticons, and then your Autobots are Optimus, Bumblebee, Grimlock, and Windblade. That was like the evergreen marketing approach, was that those are the four guys on each side. They clearly pulled back from that. Now, like, when they want to have a girl in something, it's Elita 1. Which is always kind of a shame that they always think that, okay, who is our one girl that we will definitely have to be a girl? Which is a shame. That's clearly the way they're thinking of it. It's nice for Elita. It's nice to see Elita get some respect after so many years, you know, out of the spotlight. And it's probably a good reason to do an updated Elita video, given where I left her off last year, before the War for Cybertron trilogy and before Earthspark had happened. But yeah, so I feel like that's kind of what's happened with Windblade. Excuse me, I'm missing a couple of super chats here. Oh, DJ says, hope the ratchet I sent you cheered you up when you were sick recently. Yes, thank you for that, DJ. I had the old can you say it on streams anymore? Do you get demonetized if you say the C word on streams these days? I attended the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, to use the Game Grumps parlance, off the back of TF Nation. Yes. DJ asks, was Autobot City from the movie an unfinished Metroplex? That's a funny, like, you know, that's something I would definitely talk about in that idea for a Transformers the movie video, and I would definitely talk about it in a Metroplex video. Need to do a Metroplex video soon. But like, it's obvious that when they were making the film, the writer was told, oh goodness me, sorry, Kiansky316, no, I do not have cancer. No, not that big C. The other big C, that the other big C19 that's been going around the world the last couple of years. Oh my goodness, sorry. Yes. Woo, did not mean to alarm anybody there if they misinterpreted what I said. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, the coronavirus, folks. Yikes, yes. Woo, goodness. Yes, sorry, so Metroplex. Yes, it's obvious enough that the writers... Sorry, I keep getting interrupted, but Nice Guy Henry has said, just call it the old plague. I should have called it, yes, I had a dose of plague. And I am feeling better, yes, thank you, Henry. So Metroplex, it's obvious that the writers of the movie were told that there was going to be an Autobot City toy. And that was all they were told, so they put an Autobot City in the film. And it wound up not having much bearing, much relation on the actual toy. So they had to sort of massage Metroplex into the concept in the cartoon afterwards. So in that sense, quite literally, the idea of Autobot City in the film is based on an unfinished idea for Metroplex in the real world. Like, the writers didn't have all the information on Metroplex to include the character in the film properly. In universe, the idea that they give for why he never transforms in the film is that his transforming cog was destroyed. But again, that's something I would definitely get into the details of in a Metroplex video. It's a bit more complicated than you'd think, I mean, I wonder sometimes, like, would Autobot City and Metroplex would they be separate videos? No, I don't think they'd be separate videos. That'd probably be one video, Metroplex, yeah. Seth Lowry asks, just got here, what did you think of the finale of Earthspark? And then a very good point that he makes, yes, of course, is that Rampage was also the name of the bulldozer Constructicon in Revenge of the Fallen. Yes, that is true. Very good point. Escaped my memory on that one, yeah. So yeah, there's definitely enough stuff to get a proper Rampage episode out of, yeah. And it would be one of those episodes about how, look at all these different characters who have shared the name, which is kind of what's going to go on with the Strong Arm episode in a couple of weeks' time, because there are a lot of different characters who have shared that name, but it's a bit different to how those stories normally go. I had fun writing that one. Feel like I'm sinking down in the frame here constantly because I'm reclining into my chair. What did I think of the finale of Earthspark? Yeah, I was chatting about this earlier on, so I'll not repeat myself in too much detail. But yes, I was very happy with Earthspark. I really enjoyed Earthspark, though I did think that the finale, something changed behind the scenes production-wise. I felt like the finale did not quite pay off all the seeds that the earlier episodes of the show planted. But it was an exciting finale. I really enjoyed how creepy Mandroid's final evolution was. And I think it, the place it leaves the show is different enough that I am excited to see where it goes next. It's always nice whenever, we've sorry, I don't want to give away any spoilers if anybody hasn't watched it, but they've kind of blown up a big part of the status quo at the end of that, at the end of the season, which I feel like the end of every season of a show should do. Like, you shouldn't just roll on into your second season from the same starting place as the first season started. It's always nice when something changes going into the next season of a show. So, I'll be there day one for more Earthspark. Honestly, I'm a big Earthspark booster for as long as it runs. Definitely, yeah. Okay, let's see. Murphy Beale asks, who do I think the next Titan class figure will be? It's a hard question, isn't it? I don't know. I feel like all the big boxes have been ticked. Like, after the arc, everybody was just waiting for the Nemesis. And, Cybertron Metroplex happened, and it felt like everybody greeted it with a sort of collective shrug. And Titan class figures are definitely too flippin' expensive now. Like, I haven't bought a Nemesis, and I will not until it comes down on sale. Sorry, no. I really don't know what the next Titan class will be. The way, back years past, whenever we could have box sets of teams like the Predacons or the Constructicons as Titan classes, that ship feels like it has long sailed. Like, costs have gone up so much and the engineering of toys has changed so much, the standards. It feels like you simply couldn't do that anymore. And I don't know. Unless it's something like the Axelon. Cody Fox says there, Axelon has a robot mode. Do you think it could get a new Titan toy? I mean, I guess. If anybody doesn't know what Cody Fox is referring to there, in the Japanese United, wasn't it? The United toy line. They repainted Energon Sharkticon and said, this is the Maximal Axelon and it can transform now. There's Guzzy Hero says, or Lodestar, one of the new female Titans from the IDW 2019 comics. That would be really neat, but I don't see them doing it. So I don't know. Tyrant King asks if I can do the basics on Brawl. He was on the list for this year, but I just bumped him for Bombshell. I was thinking about him. He's just had that little role in Earthspark, but I decided to bump him. So he's in my memory, and he'll probably come along soon. Jack of all claws says he doesn't think Depth Charge has enough for a basics episode. That's probably sadly true. You get Beast Wars, you get Beast Wars Uprising, and the club toy. You get the universe toy and the little bit of universe comic fiction surrounding it. But I feel like that's about where it stops. Yeah. Michael Alex Kawa says for a Titan class, maybe Primus. But no, as he said, I think it would be too small. I don't really see them doing a HasLab Primus anytime soon. I don't know, It's very hard to think. I genuinely don't know. I don't think it's on the leaked list for next year yet. I don't think we've had any hint. They're just so expensive. I wonder if they wouldn't consider retiring them, honestly. As in, it's like the way they obviously decided minicons hadn't succeeded and they decided to stop doing minicons. I wonder if they wouldn't just bin Titan classes. The sheer price of the things, honestly. Animated Omega Supreme, says Crownified. Yes. No. That is one I would probably shell out for. Yes. It's a shame it'll never happen, isn't it? I would only want it if they did a proper animated Omega Supreme. Now, I don't have a problem. I will say I don't have a problem with the legacy styling of the animated guys, because I think the perfect versions of the animated characters as toys exist already. They were the original animated guys. Just making those characters as toys again with the same animated styling is circular and a lateral move. There's no point to it, in my opinion. So I don't have a problem with them doing a G1 stylized version like they did with animated Prowl, like they're obviously going to do with animated Optimus next year. But there is no animated Omega Supreme figure, so that would be the one that I would want them to keep fully animated style if they did it. They're taking a hardline stance on that one. A DJ asks what my favourite figure in my collection is. Oh, that's too hard a question, honestly. I've always kind of said that if there was a fire, the one I would grab and run out of the house with was my G1 Overlord. Because I picked that up from eBay for a song, an absolute steal. Significantly less than what it was worth. Shortly before eBay really exploded with the live action movie. I picked that up when I was working on the UK DVDs of Headmasters, Master Force and Victory, which I did back in 2005, 2006. If you guys didn't know, I did audio commentaries for the UK DVD releases of Headmasters, Master Force and Victory, and I wrote the liner note booklets that came with those, and so it made me want to get some toys of characters from those shows, and I was able to get an Overlord. I didn't think I would, but I got him for a really, really great price. And I've always thought if I had to save one, that'd be the one I'd grab and run out of the house with. And Dino Shot asks thoughts on HasLab Deathsaurus. Yeah, bought and paid for, my friend. Looking forward to getting it. Got a Star Saber. Really looking forward to getting a hold of Deathsaurus. Yeah. Do I have any? No, I'm just really, really looking forward to, no more specific thoughts than that. I will say, I don't think that, I feel like two Victory HasLabs in a row has set people's expectations funny. They think, or the next one, Lyo Kaiser or whatever. And I feel like HasLabs can't just keep being Japanese guys forever. There's got to be some other stuff. I don't know, like if they could do if they recreated the original G1 prototype of the Unicron toy. There's a toy I feel like has been talked about recently, like off the back of like Pink Hot Rod, and making things that have making old ideas and finally making them reality. Yeah, like do the old G1 unmade Unicron prototype toy. That could be that's a HasLab, for example. Nathan Merrifield there asks, have you ever had a severely broken Transformer? If so, who? And I wish for such a fate to never befall you. Oh, yes indeed. $300 Hearts of Steel Shockwave broke at the leg joint. Youch. Yeah. I suppose that's... What's the worst break I ever had a Transformer do? Well, I mean, you got your gold plastic syndrome. I remember my Revenge of the Fallen Stratosphere. His knee exploded, so he is only one leg. Same, broke at the leg joint. But you know, that's just that toy. What's another? My old masterpiece Rodimus, which was not a great toy anyway, and was a toy prone to exploding. He's exploded. Yeah, the springs in his ankles have exploded. Some of the clips have broken on him too. I can't think of any more severe break. There's gold plastic syndrome. My Beast Machines. What's that dude's name? Striker. Beast Machine Striker, the recolor of Beast Wars Neo Saberback, the Stegosaurus. He gold plasticed. He went. Same for my Star Wars, Transformers, Millennium Falcon, the Chewbacca. His elbows went. But these are all gold plastic. I can't think of Combiner Wars Wild Rider. His windshield broke off on me just recently. I was just trying to move it, but that joint is so tight on mine, it was, at least anyway, and I was just really heaving it, and it just snapped clean off. Yeah, that was one of the most disheartening breaks I've had in a while, because it's not like with gold plastic syndrome where it's a tragic inevitability. That one was all me, baby. Yeah, that was a sad one. RDH NLB asks again there, do I think Earthspark was darker than Prime? Huh. Darker than Prime. I mean, I think, it's one of those interesting questions, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, Earthspark balances a lot of childlike levity and joy with scary stuff like the state of Android by the end of it all. Whereas Prime was quite a dour show, you know. It had jokes in it, certainly, and there could be funny jokes, but it didn't tend to go for that effusive, childlike family laughing and having fun together way that Earthspark did. So like on the whole, like splitting the average, you'd have to say Prime was darker in that it was grimmer and more dour as a show. But, you know, Earthspark definitely has some heavy moments in it, definitely. You know, I think I would have to do a rewatch and really sit down and unpack it a bit more to come with any more thoughts on it than that. Yeah. Stella Holly asks, what Beast Machines guys would be able to get a basics? Night Scream? Ooh, maybe. I mean, you get Night Scream, and then there's a couple of guys who have reused his name, but Striker, yes, 100%, definitely, absolutely Striker. What about Obsidian? I've always felt that Striker and Obsidian I would do in a video together, because Striker, 100% definitely. Obsidian, not quite, but those two go together well. I would fold Obsidian in with Striker. Jetstorm, probably. Yeah, there's been enough uses of that name. Botanica, I'd love to do a Botanica episode, but there's nothing to Botanica besides Beast Machines. You know, just tiny little cameos here and there. I love it. And Tankor, I feel like Tankor was covered in full in the Rhinox episode. I wouldn't give him a separate episode. I feel like he's rolled up in Rhinox enough that I covered that in detail already. What time is it? Oh my god, we've been going for over 2 hours. I did not mean... wow, okay. Time gets away from you, doesn't it? It's after 8 o'clock. I've not even had my dinner yet. Right, folks, I think I'd maybe better call it in there then. Right, let's do a little rundown. So yeah, as shown off over the course of the stream, next week, early access going up at the start of the week, video will be next Saturday. We'll be looking at the Nemesis. Then after that, we'll take a look at Strong Arm towards the end of September. And then the first video on October, we'll be looking at Bombshell. Nemesis, Strong Arm, Bombshell, 3 guys who have had new toys in the Legacy line, inspiring me to take a look at them. Otherwise, if you haven't, please do go and give the Battle Beasts video a look. It could do with it. I think it came out well. Also, if you haven't tested your wits on the Matrix test, and I feel like that people see an unfamiliar thumbnail and a long runtime, they maybe don't click on this one, but I don't expect them to. The Matrix test has been uploaded to the channel as well. This is the Transformers trivia quiz that I write for TF Nation every year. That is up for you to test your wits on now. If you haven't, maybe a couple of people in the chat would like to get together and have some fun taking it on as a team. And there is one other thing. I'm going to be introducing this new avatar soon, this new profile picture. You guys are well familiar with the little CGI claymation looking guy who I've used as my profile picture for a long time, which is still there right now. That, if you have ever wondered, it is not me. It is a screen cap from an advert for Now TV from about 10 years ago. It just looked extremely like me, so I snatched it and I've used it as a profile picture for a long time. This piece of art was created by an artist named Cody Lane, who created it for Cian Carlisle's Combaticons fan animation. If you have not seen that, I would definitely encourage you to. I have a few lines in it. They needed a documentarian character in Cian's fan animation, Combaticons, and they created this little transformery version of me based on the avatar picture to go along with it. And I liked it so much that I bought the rights to the art from the artist. So I'm going to standardize it across my social media as my avatar. And, I was thinking maybe I could do like prints of it or something for conventions in the future, perhaps. But yeah, just thought I'd show it to you guys so you can see it here and now, and don't be freaked out whenever the avatar changes slightly from a little CGI guy to a little hand-drawn robot guy. So yeah, that's by Cody Lane, if I'm remembering the name right. Of the artist who drew that. Chris Bot McFeely Tron, I was credited as in the animation, though Cody decided to... their name for it was Prismic Fury, was the Transformers name Cody invented for this character. But yes, that's going to be my new avatar. And saying that maybe I'll do prints of it for if I'm a guest at any conventions or anything, or if I'm tabling at any conventions in the future. Right. Just one last question there from Starboy8. How close are you to the Hasbro brand itself? Not close at all, mate. No, I have no official connections to Hasbro. They have never approached me for anything. I spoke to a couple of reps from the Irish and EU branch when I was guesting at Big Bang Comics Fan Day back in July, but I do not have any official connections or anything. So anytime you ever hear me speculating about anything, it's genuine blind speculation. I'm not hinting or insinuating anything, and there's no insider knowledge, no inside baseball, no nothing like that, no official connections. I haven't made the big few or 6-0 leap to being invited on any streams or anything yet. But hey, cross the fingers, and maybe someday, Murphy Bale says yes. Yes, I have done a few. Murphy Bale asks, didn't you do Ask Vector Prime? I wrote a little bit for Ask Vector Prime, yes, and I've done one or two, officially licensed things. I wrote Transformers Historia for IDW Publishing. I did those audio commentaries for the UK DVDs, but those are always work done for a licensee. I've never had any direct interaction with anybody on the Hasbro side of things at all. No, and any work I've ever officially done has always just been through a licensee. Just want to make that clear. Just feel like that was a good question that was worth answering. Right, yeah, so with that, after nearly 2.5 hours, goodness gracious, that was not supposed to go on that long. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks for all your questions. Yeah, enjoy the Nemesis, enjoy the episodes I got coming up, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Okay, bye!